All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Tuesday morning,
It's a day.
Monday
It's a
night.
day.
Listen, Monday night / Tuesday morning, 1:15 a.m. The clock has just struck here on October 12th, 2021. My name is Jake Luke. I am without a voice, without a lot of things. I just feel like I got picked up and just, the contents of my pocket shaken out, just absolutely thrown into the vortex of emotions. What a situation. Ravens over the Colts in overtime. What was the final score? What did it wind up being? 31-25.
Yeah.
Listen, a more professional, more prepared host might have that ready for you. I don't. Listen, the kids have gotten a little spicy today. We've had a couple pops. We were both in the house for the game. And listen, it was an emotional roller coaster. I feel like I said right before we got going here, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but what it is it's life affirming when you're on the right side of it. And so to say that I can't keep doing this, maybe I'll reserve that for when they're on the wrong side of these things, which they have been at times, i.e. week 1. But right now, it feels pretty good. And my friend here, Benjamin Powers, a.k.a. Spencer Nathaniel Schultz, is eating some Eric Weddle ice cream. I'm going to crack another celebratory cold one here. And we're just going
to cheers.
We're going to bask in this thing. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to the listeners. Cheers to those watching on the old boob tube right now. That was incredible. That was spectacular. That was the Lamar Jackson experience. We already had a commercial that was slightly like going off of or maybe not a commercial, but like a skit, slightly going off of the Michael Vick experience. We need a real, Oakley needs to do a real Lamar Jackson experience, exact replica of Michael Vick's. Lamar is about to enter, Lamar actually just left the stratosphere tonight. He has been a superstar. He has been, a household name of anyone who relatively watches football, not Brady level. And Mahomes is probably a little more well-known, but he just left the orbit of the fucking planet Earth. He is one of one. He is the best. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of crazy statements. He's the best player in Ravens history from a talent perspective and just the ability to win a game at all costs. I think he is the best football player maybe on earth right now. Simply, he's making it happen. The Ravens offensive line, God bless their souls. They're not an elite unit. Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, those are some good receivers. Sammy Watkins, good receiver. Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, even Josh Oliver stepped up. Everybody helped out, but it's not happening, Captain, without Lamar right now. The Ravens defense blundered time and time again, over and over. I'm probably going to toot my own horn because I called a lot of shit about this game. I'm not going to lie. And that both of us will eat a big bag of shit when we're wrong about things, and happily so. But the Colts were the number one freaking screen team in terms of using running backs. Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor have caught 10 screens entering this game. First, third down, Jonathan Taylor's in the game. Not Nyheim Hines. What do you think they're probably going to do? Takes one to the house. Generally just beating the crap out of the Ravens defense over and over again. And it gets to the point where the crux of the game is a fumble from the 1-inch line. Lamar is, that was a fumble. I think that was a fumble.
It was, but I think so too.
I'm not mad. You can call that either way, and there's no reason for anyone to be mad about that. That's just the sport they play. Boys will be boys. Refs will be refs.
I was honestly surprised that they whistled it dead with that lateral thing. I don't really know what was going on there, but
this is my thing though that I always say, and I like that they didn't blow it. Wait, they didn't blow it dead, right?
No, they didn't. They let it go on, which
is what you should always do.
Same thing against Jabril Peppers with Cleveland 2 years ago.
Right.
They blew it dead. He should have had a touchdown.
And Marlon Humphrey had a similar situation that same year against the Chargers.
Yeah.
But referees, Mr. Referee, always rule it a touchdown always rule it a turnover, always rule it anything that can be reviewed automatically, always rule it so that it can be reviewed automatically. So I was happy that I think they got that one right. Other than that, those who watched on TV, we haven't gotten to rewatch anything yet. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff. But end of the game, that was, to me, anyway, that was the crux. I got to decide for myself. Lamar being able to fumble that ball, them going down and I believe scoring a touchdown to Michael Pittman directly after, correct?
Yes.
Maybe not.
I think so.
Whatever, we'll get there.
Yes.
They scored, I'm pretty sure. Then come back and do what they did, going tempo, going no huddle. I mean, they did it a little bit in the first half, kind of. It just was like the same kind of game they played the Colts in last year. Like, you go tempo and they break. So the book is out and it's not on Lamar Jackson. It was on Matt Eberflus's defense. Push them with tempo and you will break them down the football field. Lamar Jackson was on a different level. I think he was maybe 27 of 30 at one point, or like 28 of 30, somewhere around there. Was not missing, was automatic. Shit didn't go their way. Calls didn't go their way. Anything that could have gone wrong did. Marlon Humphrey jumps off sides on a field goal that they miss. Everything went wrong. And guess what? The grade 8 made it happen, Captain. He was out of this fucking world. So was Mark Andrews. Calais Campbell, play of the game as well. And he shouted out Broderick Washington. Apparently Washington saw that on film. That's how I know I'm an idiot, because Broderick Washington, a guy who blocked a couple kicks at Texas Tech, he's sitting there with the clicker probably, scrolling his thumb back and forth, explaining to Calais Campbell about how you're going to go block a kick here. This is what we're going to do. You're going to go block a kick. Like, the level of football IQ those guys have is insane. That's why anytime we get those guys talking ball, Micah Parsons talking a little bit of smack like last week, anything we get, any little morsel we get is just always beautiful. And that was an incredible play. Lamar Jackson, incredible. Best player in football right now.
Yeah, and like to your point about that, like we had talked before we got going here. Shout out to friend of the show, Eric. He and I attended the game together. We thought about leaving when it was, I think, 22-9. We have full-time jobs. We were very dejected and deflated for much of the game, but we hung around because they have Lamar Jackson. They have him, and when that is the case, anything can happen. And that wound up being, like we said as we were walking into the stadium, like we were marveling. It was largely in silence, but we were marveling at it. And I think we mentioned, like, if Joe Flacco was a quarterback, we would have left and they wouldn't have won. So like we would have been vindicated in that. But like also, I think to the discussion you were having there, the game in the second half shouldn't have gotten as out of hand as it did. That fumble really screwed things over. I just watched the highlights before we got going here, and like,
horrible decision to keep the ball.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And like they get the ball at the half. I think they're down 16-3. So they're driving, and they could have easily scored a touchdown there. And like what we saw on that drive was what we saw from them for the rest of the second half. So they made a second half adjustment to go to tempo and start to doing what they had to do. And they should have been doing that all game, obviously, but it was just, I don't know, that I guess they had a game plan going into it. It was not working. I don't know what it was. It looked like they were trying to do these long developing kind of, deeper shots, and like guys just weren't getting open. Credit to the Colts defense for doing what they had to do. They also contained Lamar pretty well. He tried to get loose in the running game, even the designed running game a little bit here and there, and they were just all over him in that respect. So they did a good job with that. But eventually, like, he's going to break you in the passing game. To your point about best player in football, like, name me somebody that has that type of threat on the ground with their legs and can also, when they need to, just absolutely pick you apart with their arm, which they did time and time again in the fourth quarter and overtime. And that's what ultimately proved to be the difference.
Ravens franchise record, 442 yards, 37 of 43. I mean, get some. Absolutely get some. Mark Andrews was pure electricity. He has like a little one-handed catch that he smacks off his own face mask, grabs it.
So good. Like, he was so good. Like, I can't even, like, these
Kelsey. That was Kelsey. That was what we see out of Travis Kelsey.
These guys are a far cry from where they were 4 years ago. Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, like, this is Sammy Watkins made a couple plays. He left with an injury. Devin Duvernay making plays in the passing game too. Like these
Devin
guys,
Duvernay had a catch, I think, on a third down
third
where
and 9.
Lamar was getting pressured, if I'm not mistaken, and just pretty much had to get the ball out early. Duvernay's reflexes to drop to the floor and just vacuum up a ball while like through contact,
just hoovering balls up. These guys are these guys are so much better than what they had 4 years ago. Like we complain about the wide receiver room a lot. I think rightfully so to a certain extent, but these weapons are so much better than what they had.
So much better. And Sammy Watkins made a couple great plays. You're absolutely right. Hamstring on him. He was done quick. And I feel terrible. I feel for Sammy Watkins there. Played his heart out. Of course, the stupid injury happens that he's had some troubles with just kind of some nagging stuff or some. It's never like an ACL or something crazy. But if you're Rashad Bateman right now, you're looking at these guys like, holy crap, these dudes are ballers. The way they've played the last couple of weeks, and now Bateman's going to be able to integrate into that offense and get up to speed over the next couple of weeks. I'm glad that he didn't play tonight and is able to kind of just like there's such little pressure on him. And with the way Marquise Brown played last week, Marquise Brown had a hell of a game. Absolutely. Tonight, his best game of his career, and Mark Andrews both. Like Marquise Brown was a madman after the catch. Nasty route, absolutely torches for a deep touchdown, make some contested catches. He forced, I'm going to say, at least 3 missed tackles after the catch, if not like 4 or 5. Was fighting for everything. He had like 4 Colts DBs, maybe a linebacker trying to grab him.
He had one where he caught it.
He's a shark this year.
Yeah, he had one where he caught it. He put his foot in the ground, and I think it was on the game-tying drive. And that was when I knew that they were going to score, because he puts his foot in the ground. He just like charges up the sideline. I'm like, this dude is seeing red right now. Like he absolutely wants it. And it seemed to be wearing off on the other players too. Lamar was just hitting guys left and right. And it did look to be a marked difference than early in the game when he was clutching the ball and not really like letting it rip. Once he started letting it go and guys were getting open in the quick tempo, it was over. Like the Colts defense had no answer.
And I just think this is such a coming of age for Lamar. And if you're listening to this podcast, we've never subscribed to him. He's capable of doing anything that anyone else is, but his own demons have been that you mentioned that double clutching each of the last 2 weeks. I used to say you can kind of tell if Lamar's going to have a not great day when he hesitates. We've seen the Steelers give him some trouble, and it's just that hesitation. And he has been able to just like be a snake and shed that off of himself. Each of the last 2 games, he comes out jumpy, erratic, not trusting himself, not trusting his reads, and just was able to go into killer whale, 1,000-yard stare of nothing behind those eyes and just get shit done. So he's a stone cold killer. Right now, this AFC is just fucking stacked out the wazoo. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, let alone Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. There's some young guns like Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. It's crazy in these streets, man. AFC, it's an exciting time to be an AFC relative football fan, especially for one of those teams.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I see the Ravens as this like surefire like Super Bowl, I'm going to pick them to win it or anything like that, but like they're as gritty as any of these teams. They've got as much experience as any of these teams, and this is something that I was talking about this a little bit with the Exit 52 guys. Like that was something that I think we scoffed at a little bit, that you need to have experience, and it's like on paper, like it doesn't seem like anything that you can really quantify. So you dismiss it a little bit when people try to bring that up as an issue with this team. But it seems like at this point, and especially with some of the wins we've seen early this year, it seems like they have the grit and the grind and the experience. They've been in a lot of these tough games, and now they've won a couple of them. It seems like they know what they have to do to win them. They just keep their head where it needs to be. They just keep it between the mustard and the mayo. And they have that combined with a lot of the talent that they need. And I've said they're not talented enough along the offensive line. I still think they're not. Maybe Stanley will come back and that'll help a little bit, but they got talent at wide receiver. They're talented on defense. I mean, they had some issues tonight, but they're going to have those, I think, with the Peters injury and whatnot. I don't know. I just think it's the right blend of youth and experience. I just think they're in a really sweet spot with that right now. So that's kind of a hard thing to quantify, but it's going to give them an ability to win literally any game. Like, they beat the Chiefs. Nobody would have expected that. They win this game down 25-9. early in the fourth quarter, they can win any game. They can do it because they have the talent, they have the experience, they have the grit and the grind.
And we've talked about that. They were too young offensively last year, and the year before was a little, you know, weird, whatever. We don't have to talk about that a ton, but right now they have that synergy that the scale is balanced with players that are in their third, fourth, fifth year offensively. Not a ton of rookies or really, old guys. They have a couple of veterans there. And it's just like you said, experience. It's the comfortability of being there and doing that and going into that mode, going into automation, going into be able to do it mindlessly. Tom Brady's done it 5,000 times. Like, you can never count them out. And that starts to be your attitude in the second half. The Ravens are turning into a second half football team from what they've been a first half football team while Lamar Jackson's been quarterback, running the ball, throwing play action, able to get leads early and then just, pound the rock for so long. And that hasn't been what's happened so far this year. And it feels like they're able to pull their, strap their boots up, put those bindings into the snowboard and ride down the mountain, trusting that they're going to get to the bottom and ultimately accomplish their goal. In the second half, Lamar Jackson goes 23 of 26, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance from him there. All those guys.
Did he have 6 incompletions?
Yeah, he was 37 of 43 in this game.
He had like almost 500 yards passing.
He had 442 and he had 62 yards rushing. So he had 500 total yards and 4 touchdowns.
Like, it's not great radio, but I'm just shrugging. Like,
it's ridiculous. They had throws of 11, 12, 12.
MVP conversation, correct?
Oh my God. Yeah, easily. 11, 12, 12, 19, 43, 27, 18, 7, 15, touchdown, get the ball back, 17, 10, 20, like all in the second half, And then in overtime, able to, get Andrews for 14, Brown for 11, then check down. Shout out to Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman had a really nice game at the end of the game, able to make some plays in the passing game. Devontae Freeman came up huge at the end of that game. Look sharp as hell. And I think this was a great game for those guys. I think you're starting to see them get comfortable within this offense. And I think after that bye, they're going to be fully integrated. We'll see what the Ravens end up doing, but they're going to have at least 2 of those guys. Tyson Williams seems to really be protecting the ball. The fact that Lamar Jackson was only sacked once might be, a little bit more of him being great. But in that second half, they tired the crap out of the Colts. You could just tell were gassed the entire second half. And their defensive line didn't have a ton of push. Lamar was evasive. Ben Cleveland goes down, so Powers gets the full spin, full send. Zeitler gets banged up at one point. Colts player gets banged up, so he was able to stay on, I believe. So they're just able to keep going. And at this point, it's that Lamar Jackson is just like both of his hands are on fire in that second half, and he is slinging that thing. He's a certified Wild West freaking madman with a slick shooter, mowing defenses down right now. I know the Colts haven't been great, but Matt Eberflus is a really strong coordinator, a really strong, disciplined coordinator. They gave the Ravens a lot of trouble last year, and the Ravens were able to kind of control that second half in a really close game. And that tempo just straight up killed them. The fact that Lamar Jackson's able to go no huddle touchdown, that gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of wholesome sort of a calm might start to come over this team and this fan base, that all those narratives, whatever we've talked about 1,000 times, they're dead. The Ravens are coming back. I think Lamar Jackson has 5 game-winning or go-ahead drives, 3 game-winning drives at this point, and has done it. He's been there. He's done that. He's, maybe the best passer in football right now, and can go do it with his legs whenever he needs to. He can buy as much time. He can go make the plays. So him, Allen, Herbert, those guys are elite right now. Mahomes is having a little trouble. Obviously, he is too. But this AFC ride, I'm just really excited. I can't believe we get to see the Chargers come to Baltimore next week. That's going to be an incredibly good game. 2 of the top dogs in the NFL right now. And it's going to be must-see TV, as it has been every single week, watching any of those guys, either of those guys. And Lamar Jackson, it's hard to look at any player and say that, considering what he does with his legs, considering he's far and away their leading rusher, that there's a more valuable player in football. So I'm not really into the whole week 6 MVP, but I mean, you can't say he's not playing at an otherworldly level right now.
Yeah, people are talking about it, though, is the thing. And like they're already mentioning Justin Herbert, I think rightfully so. Already mentioning Josh Allen, rightfully so. But if you're going to be talking about it, then you have to talk about Lamar Jackson, I think. And it is going to be interesting. Herbert coming to town with the Chargers next week. That is going to be a very tough game. That is 2 heavyweights at the top of their game facing off. I think, are both teams 4-1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be tough.
Ravens lost to the Raiders, and RIP John Gruden. Good fucking Lord.
Jesus, can we talk about that? What the fuck was that? Is that a news dump of all, like, the greatest news dump ever?
I don't know, man.
Or was that I heard rumblings that the football team were leaking that?
It was Bruce Allen.
He's not still with Washington, though, is he?
Nope. Gruden wasn't with Washington, and Bruce Allen was the one who leaked all those terrible things. And
yeah, well, the culture is actually damn good. That's the thing about it. Fuck that. Fuck.
Gruden was basically making homophobic and misogynist slurs referring to Roger Goodell.
Yeah, and not to mention the racist stuff that was coming out as well. So
yeah, that stuff. Big Cat and PFT talked about all that stuff. I'll let them talk about that stuff. They're better at joking about it in an appropriate manner. So we'll leave all that at that. But good Lord, that was nuts. So that's the team they lost to. And the Raiders have turned back into a pumpkin, as they do every October.
This time,
meanwhile, the Chargers only lost to the Cowboys, who are a good team. So
we could never have predicted it would be this way, though, because they were looking like one of the best teams in the league. And they might still be with Rich Bisaccia taking over there at head coach. But Jesus Christ, I was in the midst of I think getting a beer, maybe taking a piss, and check my phone. John Gruden out as Raiders, and I was just really not happy, just in a salty state as the Ravens were kind of losing their grip on that game. And it comes out that John Gruden is out as Raiders coach. But I did appreciate it coming out at that time, because like, oh shit, good. Like, people are going to turn off Monday Night Football, and the Ravens aren't going to be as embarrassed when they lose this game.
Yeah, it would have been like a boring, if they weren't able to do what they did, it would have just been a boring game. Everybody tunes out post game. They're like, oh, the Colts blew the Ravens out. Scott Van Pelt then goes into a dissertation on Gruden instead. But unfortunately for the news cycle, Lamar Jackson made that a little bit more difficult, and it was hell of a game. Comments in here that are, I mean, the Ravens are kind of doing we're watching like Joe Flacco have his 2011 run in the regular season version right now in a contract year, 4th year quarterback. And that bag is getting heavy, and they're going to give, I mean, if he keeps doing what he's doing, they're going to give him whatever he wants. So they've made their intention very clear on that, been transparent the whole time. Lamar, representing himself, has his own team, and kind of said like, hey, I'm trying to win right now. I don't have time for this, and is betting on himself, I'm sure, as well. I'm sure there's an offer on the table, and he said, I'll look it over. And maybe he doesn't think it's quite enough, but that's speculative. But that number is just growing and growing and growing. And that man is making millions every single week. So it's been a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, they're like, it's hard to think back to a time that I've had this much fun watching a team. And I mean, 2019, obviously, but that was different because they were just steamrolling teams. And that was just kind of like we've talked about how that's an unrealistic thing to expect. This probably is too, but in a different way, where you can't expect them to win close games every single week. And maybe that pendulum will swing back at some point. But the fact that they've got it done.
The Raiders beat them in a close one. It already has swung that way.
100%. And yeah, so we've already seen the other side of that pendulum. But I mean, you talk about some of these games, like the Chiefs game. It's literally the very similar circumstances with a Sunday night game versus a Monday night game. Big plays at the end to get it done when you're least expecting it. So
Justin Tucker being the one who goes out there, and
that was sick.
That was sick. And Wentz comes out, and Keep Wentz the fuck away from the Ravens because that dude balls every single time they play him. He is like, I don't even know. You cut his head off and he comes back stronger every single
You
time.
certainly, give him his flowers, but if I had to make a prediction right now, I don't think the Ravens are ever going to be seeing him again.
I hope not.
He's just like, he played well tonight. Like, is he going to be a long-term starter in the NFL?
I think so for sure. He played really well. Him and I think it was Pascal on that drive where I think the Ravens end up kicking the field goal at the end, have a timing route where Pascal is lined up against Marlon Humphrey, runs a beautiful blaze out, and shout out to blaze outs.
Filthy dirty blaze out.
Yeah, it gets Marlon Humphrey bad, moves the chains in a key spot. Wentz was picking him apart much of that game. Throws up that deep ball for Pittman was beautiful. Was getting the ball to the backs underneath. I think he got sacked. We'll give Justin Houston his sack. Give him his flowers. We'll call that a sack. So that would have made it 3 times, I think.
Odafe had one.
Tavon Young had one as well. # back shots. And
so back.
Yeah, Tavon Young is so back. Jack Doyle, certified dick.
B made.
Like,
come on, all right, Jack Doyle. Like, you sound like you're a fucking private.
Right, go chop a tree down, Jack.
From the fucking 1920s.
Go chug some cider and put your suspenders on and go bully people when they're on the ground and shove their face into the dirt.
No, like,
just classic. You can never retaliate. The first guy always gets away with it. Just football. Just guys being dudes.
It is guys being dudes. Like, you know what? I don't even blame Jack Doyle for flopping. Hey, refs, like, recognize that and keep the fucking laundry in your pants for once.
Or also just like, look, I just don't. Whatever. I'm not the guy who's ever going to be like, hey, the referees, we need to do something. It's been my whole life. Everyone always saying shit.
I was that guy last year, and I'm just over it now because like nothing.
But it's like, can't you just look at that gigantic jumbotron and be like, oh, maybe we should pick this one up? They both did some fucked up stuff.
Yeah, and listen, like, I'm not saying that I'm unbiased or anything, but when there's 70,000 people that all seem to understand what happened via the big screen board that you're talking about there, seems like it's a fairly easy thing to figure out sometimes. But what do I know?
Jack Boyle, such an Amish name. Keiko's Prank says.
I deal with plenty of Amish people in my work, and you are not far off. Maybe if his name was Jack Waldner, that would be more correct.
And Adam Jones, 5-time Gold Glover in here. Ball does not lie, ultimately.
No, and when
he gets blocked, Ravens take the ball, score. The fact that they were able to convert those 2-point conversions is just another facet of the impressiveness of this win. The ability to be able to go get those when you need them both times. That's so hard to do. So hard to do. Just crazy.
Scoring another touchdown in that
scoring a touchdown and then scoring a conversion and then scoring another touchdown and then scoring another conversion. I believe it was in that sequence. It was like Hollywood, then Andrews, then Hollywood, then Andrews, and Hollywood and Andrews, or Andrews got both of the 2-point conversions.
Yeah, I think Andrews had. I know Andrews had the one on his because he had the one where he ran the little stick and he just was in the middle of the end zone where Lamar had the ball for like 50 seconds, and he just like flicked it to him. Then Andrews had I think he had the 2-pointer and that over the middle, and then I think Hollywood had his maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah.
Yeah, it was the last touchdown was Lamar to Andrews. Andrews gets the 2-point conversion. The one before that was to Andrews for the touchdown. Andrews gets the conversion. So Andrews scored 4 times in the fourth quarter.
Andrews went the fuck off. Like so good.
That catch he had one-handed, like it was a little tiny bit in front of him, just kind of corrals the ball, takes a shot, and of course the safety hurts himself delivering the blow to Andrews, who is just like, I don't know. I think that his body has filled out to be like a blocking capable tight end. He's been very good in the blocking game overall, especially considering where he started a couple years ago. And he's just a thick mamma jamma now. He's got some oatmeal to him.
And shout out to him playing. His grandmother passed away this week. So he said he wanted to play for her. He got emotional in the press conference, which is cool to see.
RIP to his grandmother. Sad to hear, but glad he was able to have a special performance to kind of to feel that in the sky.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. Hollywood played freaking awesome. I mean, it's hard to say that this team is like amazing with like some of the close-knit games that they have, but like also what other team is winning close games like this? I feel like it is a skill to be able to win close games like that. So it's
It takes, it takes the ability to be organized in chaos. And I'm also looking at the game script right now, so I'm going to read this one. This is interesting. Maybe the longest play I've ever seen written down in the play-by-play. 1st and goal at the 1. Indianapolis is 6:49 shotgun. Lamar Jackson, right end of Indianapolis for -1 yards. Julian Blackmon fumbles. Julian Blackmon recovered by Darius Leonard at the Indianapolis 3. Darius Leonard to the Indianapolis 25 for 22 yards. Lateral to I. Rogers for 75 yards. Touchdown. The replay official reviewed the backward pass ruling and the play was reversed. Shotgun, Lamar Jackson to the -1 yards to the Indianapolis 2. Fumbles. Julian Blackmon recovered. Darius Leonard to the Indianapolis 3. Darius Leonard to the Indianapolis 25 for 22 yards. Lateral to Isaiah Rogers for 75 yards. Touchdown nullified by penalty on Darius Leonard. Illegal forward pass, 5 yards and forced to the Indianapolis 24. That is the longest play I have ever seen written down.
Yeah, that's something.
That was one.
I also don't think he threw it forward.
No, he was down, but they threw 5 yards on there. But that just goes to show what kind of game it was. Absolutely nuts. Chuck Clark also with a huge interception on the touchdown after Jonathan Taylor scores from the 4 to keep the Ravens, well, I can't even say in striking distance because it was a 19-point game at that point. But shout out Chuck Clark. That's our boy. Shout out Charles.
Yeah, he certainly is. And what's the status on the jersey there?
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. I'm getting one. I'll order it this week.
We got a comment on that. That's why I asked.
But yeah. We'll be getting ourselves a Charles Clark jersey.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out also Charles Clark was one of the guys who was in my quad in my freshman dorm. So shout out to Charles Clark if you're listening. Probably not, but if you are.
My high school quarterback's name was Charlie Clark.
There we go. Listen, it sounds like it might be a relatively common name at this point. Chuck Clark, although Chuck Clark sounds like a bootlegger from like Southern Kentucky.
Southern, not Northern Kentucky. Southern Kentucky.
With a Tommy gun, see?
Not by the Ohio, by the Tennessee.
Yes.
Yeah, Nick Boyle possibly coming back. All good things. Ronnie Stanley, hopefully after that bye somewhere around there. Hopefully before those divisional games.
Going to be back next week, so that's helpful. That you survive. You're 4-1 without Rashad Bateman,
or Nick Boyle, or Ronnie Stanley.
Yes, but we do know for certainty Bateman is coming back next week because they had him they talked about having him on a pick count for tonight. They decided not to run with him. They activated Boykin instead. So it sounds like
which makes sense because you need Boykin to go play special teams right now.
Yeah, 100%. And it worked out. They got the win. So it sounds like he will be back 100% next week. We'll see what happens with Boyle and Stanley. Hopefully they'll be back as well. I mean, they need Stanley. Jesus,
they desperately need Stanley.
They need Stanley, and they need Stanley to be like decent. Like they
need him to be 80% of what he has been when he's healthy.
So it's no guarantee, but listen, we're rooting for him.
We're definitely rooting for him. Tackling continues to be an issue, obviously.
As a number one Guru Punch fan, I'm rooting for him.
Number one. That Guru Punch is delicious. But, yeah, defense continues to just struggle to tackle in the open field. Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor, both able to carve it up a little bit, make quite a few plays there. Jonathan Taylor a load. Ravens have definitely, played some horses. Javonte Williams, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift are like 2, 4, and 7 in forced tackles missed, but it would be really nice to see them able to corral one of those gentlemen. Javonte Williams does carve up the Steelers yesterday. Jonathan Taylor carves everyone up, and DeAndre Swift, drafted pretty high for a reason, been a shifty dude, and despite a groin injury. So it's just continuing to get bad. This defense has not been able to put together 4 quarters of a game aside from last week, not even close this season. And they were able to kind of do a few positive things towards the end of the game. That Justin Houston sack kind of really put them in a good spot. Anthony Averett's going to take a lot of shit for this game. He definitely could have played better. I think it was just smart from the Colts. They know that Averett is a guy that really wants to run on a vertical plane and wants to, make sure there's no deep ball. They're putting him in a little bit of an island quite a good bit. And, that I didn't get to see that Pittman play a ton. I think that was on him as well. And Pittman, a guy that we talked about ad nauseum on this podcast, he's kind of, I wouldn't say him and Bateman are crazy similar, but Pittman's a little bigger and just a really balanced receiver that can go dunk on you and can run by you and make you miss and do everything. He was blocking really well in this game. Pittman had a great game, but Averett got picked on a little bit, and that's good. They won this game. He got picked on, showed his weakness, which is going to be, those hitches, him starting to run and not being able to drive downhill in the ball. So he had a bad game, and that pass interference definitely was, shoddy, and you easily could have not been called. I thought that was a good play by him. I thought that was kind of teach tape, but got dunked on quite a few times other than that. So not a great game from Averett. From what I see, Patrick Queen, missed some more tackles, continues to have some problems. Made a couple plays later in the game, kind of the same thing, just that inconsistent shit that's been going on. So, yeah, Ben Rose comments in here, not checking Patrick Queen's PFF grade is self-care. Yeah, it's Mental Health Awareness Ravens month, and don't check that tomorrow.
Yeah, Patrick Queen is. Eric kept saying he's the worst player in football, which it might be. I hate to air you out like that, Bear, but it might be an overreaction, but also like I might be with you. Like it's tough right now for
Patty. The lows are so low,
and to your point, like I get it. Like playing linebackers are incredibly difficult. I don't know the assignments, all that kind of stuff, but like some of the issues, like the missed tackles, it just feels like the entire defense has that issue, but it feels like he personifies it at times. And
he's the leader of the missed tackle brigade. Yeah. And there's just too many, and it really only is like 3 times a game, but there's 3 times a game where he is not where he's supposed to be. He's lost something, some eye candy got him. His mind was in the wrong place. Not great. Not good at all. And he's the first one to eat that. We had Pete Gilbert come on, and he said how much he admired his confidence in himself. And, he's going to keep going to bat. He's going to keep working. And it is what it is. They kept him in the game. I think he played 90% of snaps in this one, had a couple tackles later in the game. So it's just those freaking peaks and valleys are crazy. It's a wild, wild, wild ride. Last night in that Chiefs-Bills game, they're talking about Tremaine Edmonds, who is a little bigger than him and whatever, but another guy drafted super duper young, and he's kind of the new Tremaine Edmonds is in his 4th year. He's only 23. That'll probably be like a Twitter thing for quite a while. And Queen's still a young dude, but at the same time, like he's not young in football anymore. So he's not this green football player. He's in start number 22, 23, 24. So at this point, you want to start to see it click. And we'll go watch the tape. We'll see what happened. But like you said, he's basically just the personification of the missed tackle issue. And from what I saw on Twitter, it seemed like Marlon Humphrey got pretty upset with him. And I think last week as well, Marlon Humphrey, or maybe the week prior, there was a play where Queen kind of forced the back inside, which wasn't bad. But Humphrey was like, use your arms. Like,
it's vibes of Tyrann Mathieu with Daniel Sorensen far in the background last night, where it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I almost knocked over a lamp, but Tyrann Mathieu's arms are just up, and Daniel Sorensen is like not even within 10 feet of the guy who caught the ball. So yeah, it's not great. We're rooting for him to turn it around, but doesn't look good right now.
Doesn't look good. And just how often the DBs have to make plays in the run game tonight and kind of in space against those backs. You're just asking so much of those DBs in the run game. I don't think they've been excellent either. To be honest, Marlon Humphrey does a lot of things and does a lot of things really well. I think he would definitely tell you he hasn't played his best football over the last couple of weeks overall. And I think there's some room for improvement all around. Jimmy Smith, I don't think, had a bad night. I don't really recall anything from Chuck Clark from what I saw. We'll go watch all of it, but just asking so much of those dudes in the run game. You don't want to have G. Smith, who, unfortunately gets banged up, having to keep making plays in the run game and shit like that. And the defensive line got their shit pushed in a little bit at times too, against a unit that's without Quentin Nelson, without Braden Smith, and doesn't have Costanzo from last year. So this was a little come to Jesus moment for them as well. I was expecting them to come in and dominate this game. They did not. Wentz had so many clean pockets. So many beautiful clean pockets. They got to him a little bit, hit him a couple times, but there were some key points in this game on 3rd down. He had the perfect fan, like the shape that your hand makes when you spread your fingers out. And there's just 5 linemen making that perfect C shape. So shout out to C Cups. Shout out to Carson Wentz. He loves those C Cups. And Wentz played his fucking ass off, man.
We really support our C Cup queens here on this pod. Yeah, he did. Yeah, shout out to Wentz, honestly.
Kenny
Right.
Surf with a great take. Chuck Clark, a tough name to yell as he comes out of the tunnel.
Yeah, what
Chuck.
Clark. No, you can't really. There's nothing there. He's just got to get a weird nickname. What do you call the
Chucky.
who's Beans? Who's
Jimmy Smith?
Jimmy Smith is Beans? Okay. We got to get
What do we call Chuck Clark then? We got Jimmy's beans. What goes with beans? Pork?
red beans and rice.
I don't know about rice. I like pork. Pork and beans.
Pork and beans is good too.
And we can throw Tavon Young, sardines and pork and beans. That's the trio right now.
Okay.
The boys are balling a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure Tavon Young will be thrilled about being called sardines.
There you go. He's salty, baby.
Listen,
Salt Bay.
hey, so am I.
But Tavon Young, how good Tavon Young is as that creeper blitzer, as that delayed nickel blitz. My God, man. It is like he has a fucking cloak of invisibility pre-snap.
Yeah,
the amount of times he just screams in. He takes such a good angle. He hits with such rhythm. It's a clean hit. He's never too low. He never gets roughing the passer.
He's
and
so
he also has force and
short,
gets guys down.
Yeah, he's so short. Like he just hides underneath like the other defenders sometimes. It's just like, oh shit. Like here comes this guy, like 5'7", 5'8", whatever, and like he's just gonna, make the tackle and wrap up and do what he has to do. He's a true Swiss Army knife, and he is all the way back.
Getting some comments here saying, maybe Queen wasn't horrible. Some saying the same thing. So
Listen, maybe
we'll go back. We'll look at all that stuff. But I mean, the defense, talk radio shit. Also, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant. Driving back from the game with my mom. My mom, Sirius XM radio comes on. We get in the car. And I was like, I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to some post-game coverage. Maybe we'll have the pressers on. It was like maybe 20, 30 minutes after the game ended.
That's what we listened to.
105.7 and 98 Rock. I don't know what the hell people were talking about on there. I turn it on. I turn on 105.7. The first thing I hear, Lamar Jackson was not able to throw the ball down the football field last year. He could not throw it deep. Okay, I'm going to go to 98 Rock instead. The same exact comments being made. I was just like, oh my God. Can you just be positive? Can you just enjoy the instant classic that we just watched against the fucking team that everybody hates that stole the fucking franchise in the middle of the night? There are no horses in Indy. There are no horses in Indiana. But I was just I'm not going to say any names. I do know the names of each of those people. I was just, come on, guys. Can we have a little bit different tone and narrative than the national media does in Baltimore? Let's be better. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't know what you were listening to because when Eric and I got in to the car, we flicked it on, and a friend of the show, Bobby, let us in, and he had some very nice words. And then
I didn't hear Bobby.
We went right to the press conference. So that was
I think I was post press conference. I didn't hear Bobby. I'm not going to say names. It was not Bobby, though, and I'm not just saying that because we love him. Bobby's great, and Bobby does have a lot of positivity and fun and brings a lot of joy to the Baltimore area. Bobby does a great job, but come on, let's do better overall. Be like Bobby. That's what I'll say. Make it like Bobby. Bobby does a kick-ass job. There's a lot of people at both of those networks that do a great job, but come on, let's have fun. Make it fun for people leaving in their cars. I was a little disappointed. I was in my car at 12. Time did I get? I don't know. Whatever. But
well, guess what? That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. The positivity, the saying stupid things, eating ice cream, farting into the microphone, and having a good time. Hope you guys enjoyed. Try to stay positive tonight. I'm not gonna front. I was really confident. Even after leading up to the fumble, I was like, oh, they're gonna score a touchdown. This is all gonna happen. It's electric. Lamar's looking sharp. That happened. I looked at the guy behind me in my seat and was like, there's a lot of time. That was bad. Let's see how they come back out. And then they marched down the field again and made it a game. So I felt good. I think I'm starting to feel really good.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to anymore. They can win any game. So we got that. Anything else you got on this one, sir?
Just go through these comments. People are excited. Top of the AFC North. Ravens on top. Chargers next. They love feeding the negative. Amazing blitzer. Something. Some good comments in there. We appreciate all you guys. Do all that. Subscribe, share it, all that stuff. We appreciate you. Well, I'm also going to be doing Wednesdays. I'm going to go on Wednesday evenings, and I'm just going to go through Game Pass, go through the coaches film. I did it last week, and it seemed like people had fun. just fucking around, going through some plays and looking at them in length and some of the key ones that I find when I look on Tuesdays. So Wednesdays around 7:30 or 8, you can get on this YouTube channel and you can join me. If you can't catch it then, I just post it to the article the next morning. It'll be available on YouTube immediately after. So it's going to be called Watch It Wednesdays. And that's when we're going to get a little sexy, a little slutty, and throw up that coach's film, crack a couple beers, drink a couple cold ones, and keep on rocking and rolling. Went back and listened to a little bit of Forgotten Dynasty. Was cranking some Forgotten Dynasty. I think Sunday when I was on my way to my buddy's house, I was just listening in. I listened to a part that I hadn't listened to. I think I listened to the entire first 2 episodes and the entire last 2 episodes. So I went to the middle ground, which was the good stuff. That was the meat and potatoes when you're really in the thick of what happened while the Colts were in Baltimore. And still, with that in mind, I would say definitely go back. Future Emmy Award-winning series from your boy Jake Luke. It was really great. And I enjoyed listening to it again with Indy fresh on the mind. Again, if you're somebody who just is really enjoying Baltimore football, want to learn a little bit more, something to connect to your parents, grandparents who live through it in the Baltimore area, or someone who doesn't know any of that shit and just want to hear about some awesome tales, uncovered gems from way back in the history of the Baltimore football scene, Baltimore Colts. I did have my shirt off earlier. We'll go with shirt off to end it as well. Ravens have big wins. We go shirt off, baby. Woo woo. 4-1. Let's go. The boys are buzzing.
They are.
All that ice cream, that's inside of here, baby.
Damn.
Shirts off for big wins in prime time.
Absolutely.
That's get us out of here, big dog.
Yeah, so check out Forgotten Dynasty if you want to learn more about the history of the Baltimore Colts. As you mentioned, it was something that we promoted a little bit throughout the week. And it's something that lives in perpetuity. So, it's I put a lot of time, a lot of heart, a lot of soul into it, and it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Very fun and very, very rewarding, as I said there. So check that out if you have not already. Other than that, keep checking out
Spooktober.
What is that?
It's a little Dios de los Muertos Raven. Spooktober, baby.
Yeah, it is spooky season as well. So that's sick.
Get us out of here.
Yeah. So listen, I'm trying to do that. I'm just completely listen. The brain is.
It is 2:02.
It's a little foggy right now, but follow us on Twitter at BeMoreBeatdown for the flagship page. You can follow the podcast at Podcast Beatdown. You can find me at Jake Luke. That is LOUQUE. You can follow Spencer at Ravens4Dummies. That is the number 4. Follow us on Instagram at Baltimore_Beatdown_podcast. And other than that, not really sure what else we have to plug. I think
Chargers coming to town.
Chargers are coming to town. And listen, maybe we'll be at that. We'll be there for that situation.
I'm going to be absolutely obliterated for that. I have a flight early in the morning. I'm not a good sober flyer. So come through.
Yeah, absolutely. Do that. So we'll have fun with that. But in the meantime, we will talk to you guys.
See you.
Arrivederci.